just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute. Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live television network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. And my guest is Dr. Hans Kugler. Dr. Hans Kugler, really, surprisingly, one of the most influential men in the field of longevity studies and wellness today. Dr. Hans Kugler has been on the show before. Dr. Hans Kugler is a student of Emanuel Sharaskin, MD at the University of Alabama Medical School. And Hans sees himself really as carrying on the work of Sharaskin and as a co-worker of Emanuel Sharaskin. And his ideas on longevity are very timely. And it's a great pleasure to have Dr. Hans Kugler on the show today. Hans, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And again, so for those who really don't know, you have a PhD out of Stony Brook. And what's the subject?
Well, basically, I started at the University of Munich in Germany on the Nobel laureate Buchanan in physiology. See, physiology, that's the chemistry what goes in your body, and we can pinpoint adverse reactions and what makes it run better and so on and so on, right? And then I came over here to the U.S. at Stony Brook and got my PhD. Basically, it was in organic chemistry, that's biochemistry, to be more precise, phosphorus chemistry, because there's a lot of phosphorus in your body, like the nucleic acids, RNA and DNA, they have a phosphorus in there as some of the key controlling molecules, right?
Let me ask you, excuse me, a practical question. Brewer's yeast was a popular product in the 60s and 70s, and maybe today. Brewer's yeast is high in phosphorus. If a supplement is high in phosphorus, is that a bad thing?
No, actually, I would consider it a good thing. Because, see, when we eat foods nowadays, or the people who eat foods out there, all these processed foods, I mean, they're just empty calories.
Right.
And that is one of the key factors why they're all overweight and fat.
Right.
And, I mean, when I sit at a restaurant, we had Chris Bennett on there from The Good Stuff, right?
Right.
I mean, it actually gets restaurant owners to participate in trying to educate the people. Chris tells me, man, I'm feeling so bad when some people come in there rolling in their fat barrels. I feel like saying, well, eat this food and eat vegetables and eat this and this and on. Thank God. I mean, at Good Stuff, you don't get any of the garbage foods, but out there, 95%, it's empty calories. Right. And those empty calories, they add to weight, and then people are not doing any exercise. And
for those of us who are listening to the show who don't know the concept, empty calories mean what? And what are empty calories? Tell us exactly.
Empty calories is just weight. Right?
So in other words,
it's just
soda or sugar.
Right. Sugar,
flour.
excess fat, especially saturated fats, and so on and so on. But the biggest problem here is sugar, right?
Processed sugar, as in sodas and or candy.
Yes. Okay. And even more pinpointed, according to Professor Robert Lustig from Davis University in Northern California, who has a magnificent video out there. You can Google it, Sugar, the Bitter Truth. It goes back to all the different sweeteners that we are using, right? And we thought, well, sweeteners don't contain any calories, or why would that be bad for you? Well, now we know that you're actually in your intestine, you have taste buds. And when you drink a Diet Coke or something with a sweetener, it says to your body, there's sugar coming in. Your body responds to it. It brings blood sugar down to prepare for that. And then there's no sugar coming in. And, low blood sugar, it makes several different things happening in your body. And then remember, one is a signal, bring blood sugar back up to normal. And the only way your body can do this if it has glycogen reserves, but it doesn't when we do that. And the other one is to actually take lean muscle mass apart into the amino acids. It converts the amino acids to glucose to balance the blood sugar. And again, this is really bad because we want to maintain muscle mass. That's the absolute number one part on this. In this overall field, right?
And by the way, as a young man, you had your PhD. What attracted you to Emanuel Sharaskin? I mean, where did you bump into his work?
Well, I always admired him. I attended several of his lectures. I mean, I looked at myself as, here I am privileged to be in a lecture to listen to Emmanuel
Excuse me,
Charashkin.
if I can ask, what years are we speaking of right now?
About 70.
About 1970.
70, 78, 70, 75, 78, somewhere in this
And so,
area.
and you
Right.
just as a PhD candidate, you simply just did a lot of reading and you read his material and thought
Right,
this is
and
great.
I went to listen to his lectures, right? And then I started aging research myself at Roosevelt University in Chicago. We did longevity studies with animals, and in my approach, I was never really interested in just checking out one or the other anti-aging modalities. Right? Those are people who want to sell something, like a supplement that's good for you. Well, no, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But in my case, I wanted to see what is the best results I can get combining different things. And that's when I gave a presentation at a medical meeting. And my idol, Professor Taraskin, came to me and he says, Hans, basically what you're doing is the same thing what I'm doing. You know, I've defined lifelong health as a state of homeostasis achieved by doing so and so many variables correctly. And I am very simply in my longevity studies, we were applying the different variables, good variables versus bad variables, and see what kind of difference in lifespans we're getting. And the biggest study that we did, actually summarizing and showing which modalities contribute, or which are the major modalities that contribute to aging or anti-aging, right? We combined, we took cancer-prone animals like Swiss albino mice from Jackson Laboratory, very well-defined animals.
Swiss albino mice.
Right, yeah, they're white
Is
mice.
that the standard strain? Is that the correct word of mice that they use?
Right, they're used in longevity studies because they die literally the same percentage as people from cancers and so on and so on, right? Okay. So we used those animals, and we used adult animals that had gone through a major lifespan already. See, most longevity studies, they use animals right from the time of birth. Well, that's kind of cute, but I can't go back there, right? So that's why we used what we call retired breeders, animals that had been used for breeding. And then they were, they were used up that already, and we can get them cheap. That's very important, right? In aging research, when you don't have any money, right? And so on. And so we took those animals equivalent to average adults and put them under the wrong conditions and under the right conditions.
Excuse me,
right?
as far as you know, were you the first to use these aged mice in a study?
No, I'm not the first one. A lot of people were using them, but I was the first one, as I recall, to combine several different modalities at the same time, right? Big longevity study. Like in the animals that were doing everything wrong, all the negative things, we had those animals blow cigarette smoke through the cages. There's actually machines. You stick a cigarette in there. You stick 5 of them in there, and one is burned down to the end. It automatically lights the other one, and it sucks the air through the cages. So those animals are constantly exposed to cigarette smoke, right? Then the cages are limited, and they have junk food in there. I mean, no vitamin supplementation, tap waters, drinking water, and so on. I mean, all the negative things. And on the good part, we had all the animals that received the diet that I put together that contained vitamins, minerals, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, perfect.
And what year was this study that you were doing at Roosevelt University?
It was in about 1974.
Now, in retrospect, now a lot of the things you're saying now, like people say, oh, we know this. But in 74, you were out on a limb with this, weren't you?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, I had, see, when I was in Chicago, the AMA has their seat in Chicago. And I was on a big TV show in the midday. I think it was a CBS radio show. I mean, everybody listened to that show, right? And there was an AMA professor there who was really criticizing those things, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I put him on the spot. I said, look, if you're criticizing, give me scientific references. Isn't that what we do in the sciences, right? When I make a statement, I can support the statement with a scientific reference. He didn't have any. And he invited me officially on the show to be at one of the AMA meetings to talk about it. After the show, I went to the show host and I said, you want to bet $1,000 he'll never invite me? Naturally, he never invited me, but they didn't take me up on the on the bed, blah, 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 Anyway, yeah, so we started that. But there was also others, it was Colin Fredericks. There was Richard Passwater, Dick Passwater.
Dick Passwater,
right?
fantastic.
So a whole bunch of people did similar things, right? And so in the good part of the animals that were searching all the good parts. We also made them exercise 3 times a week in a rotating term. Naturally, no cigarette smoke, magnificent diet put together. I put the formula together. Priori and Rachow made it, formulated it, and so on and so on. And that's when Sharaskin looked at my data and he says, "You're going to get 100% in difference." I said, "Whoa, this is unbelievable. This can't be, right?" I mean, and he made this at a big meeting. And then really when we finished at 96%.
Okay,
right?
so Hans, so let me just review this for my listeners. You decided you had one group that was fed poorly, had a small cage, was exposed to cigarette smoke and tap water.
No exercise.
No exercise, no additional supplementation.
Right.
Then you had a control group that got what?
No, the one.
Just 2 groups.
Yeah, it was a control group and they received everything standard. Right? I mean, they had enough space to run around if they wanted to. They got a reasonable diet. They got a choice. They had a choice between carbon-filtered drinking water and regular tap water and so on. But the real important part was the difference between the 2 extreme groups, right?
And so the extreme group had a larger cage, was not exposed to cigarette smoke, they exercised, they ate a very much improved diet.
Yes.
And the lifespan was almost 100% difference between
the
control
wrong and the right groups, right? And a very interesting part there, I was also on a board with a company that was called Health and Tennis Corporation of America. In California, that was Holiday Health Spas. In New York, it was Jack LaLanne of New York. I was on tour with Jack LaLanne in Alaska and so on. Magnificent guy, fantastic, right? And Mike Lucci in Detroit, and so on, very famous people, right? And the importance was exercise, and we emphasized this. And again, we were criticized by Orthodox medicine that we were focusing on all this weightlifting, and so on. But weightlifting now has been turned out to be one of the most important parts, the number 1 factor, modality to prevent cognitive losses as we get older, right? The loss of mental capacity. Guess what? Weightlifting, resistance exercise, muscle exercises, right? So we changed a lot of these things. And so, but the key thing is, if we do the same studies without exercise, then everything drops by 50%.
Really?
I mean, 50%?
Wow.
That makes up everything? Oh, yeah. And interestingly enough, just a couple of years ago, there were researchers that confirmed that. Right? They did the studies, without the exercise and the percentage lifespan, that again, plus minus 2%, totally agreeing with what we found, right? And so we now can focus a little bit more on a true anti-aging approach, where to start, okay? So number 1, we want to do some exercise. It's very important. But we don't do this old-fashioned stuff anymore. We don't sit for half an hour on a bicycle padding for cardiovascular. Oh, this is so boring, right?
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, they sold these health clubs to Bali Fitness, and Bali Fitness sold them to LA Fitness and blah, blah, blah. But interesting enough, because I was on the board, my membership is, carried over and so on and so on. But see, a health club is a health club. And many men think, "Oh, I don't want to do that muscle exercise and so on. At my age, this is probably not good for me." So when I give talks, when I give presentations, I show them all the different machines or the exercise machines, and I have girls doing it, women. Elderly, middle-aged, or younger women. I show them all the. Then I said to the guys, look, if those girls can do it, you can do it, right? And the Dresden University in Germany recently came out with a publication basically saying that after the age of 80, if you do it right, you can increase muscle mass and there's no limitations, right? I'm almost there. And when I had my heart injuries and everything else, I lost 18 pounds of muscle mass. I've got them back on. I participated a few months ago in a big study, not really a big study, it's basically a competition. All age people, right? And what we do is we go a little bit aerobic, then we do muscle, and there's an adjustment factor for age and how much weight you can pump and so on. I left them all behind except 2 or 3 guys, and those were real muscle guys, And so it can be done, right? So we have number 1, exercise. Number 2 is a nutrition. Definitely quality nutrition. What's the best thing I can do with nutrition? I tell them, I say, go to a health food store. Look what they have there, right? And when you go to a regular supermarket, read the labels. The number 1 problem with foods that you buy anywhere in a supermarket is when you read the labels and you see HFCS, high fructose corn syrup, known as Japan's revenge to World War II, right? Because it was discovered in Japan, right? They found that high fructose corn syrup is so cheap to make. And it is so sweet. I mean, 20 times as sweet as sugar, and so on and so on. Now, and people will tell you, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with it. Fructose is just a regular sugar. Well, no, baloney, it isn't. When you actually look at what happens to fructose in your body, only well-trained athletes can handle it a little bit. The average person out there, you eat anything with high fructose corn syrup, and that's according to some other people that I had a little study going, and I asked people, see, I do anti-aging counseling, fitness counseling, and so on at the Health Integration Center in Torrance with Dr. David Wong, who we had on the show here,
Yes.
right? And so on. So the very first thing is I asked her, is when you go home, you read the labels of everything that you have in your product. And guess in some areas, 80% contain high fructose corn syrup,
Right.
including that. He says, and you dump this stuff. I mean, don't even think about buying it again. Well, why? And there comes in a part of biochemistry of the true medical science, and that's called metabolic pathways, right? Metabolic pathways is what happens in your body too. For example, certain amino acids and fats and carbohydrates and sugars and so on and so on. And you can pinpoint step by step how it works. And one of the best, the absolute best examples is when you Google sugar, the bitter truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's by Robert Lustig, Davis University, Standard Medicine, and so on. And he will show you with metabolic pathways, if you consume high fructose corn syrup, what happens is your body cannot metabolize it. Every cell in your body can metabolize the other sugars, like glucose and so naturally. That's a fuel your body runs on, right? But maybe later on we touch on to that too. It's changing a little bit because more and more people, scientists recognize that it's important the essential oils from plants, right, to really incorporate that more and so on. But anyway, when Dr. Lustig shows you with the metabolic pathways, he will show you that high fructose corn syrup, or fructose, only your liver can metabolize it. And when it metabolizes it, it immediately metabolizes it to fat. So what you get is you get fatty liver. Obviously, that's not a good thing for you, right? And in the process of doing so, it interferes with NOS. Most people, they just overlook that. Well, NOS is a most important enzyme. It's called nitric oxide synthetase. There's a compound that was discovered about 30 years ago, and it's called nitric oxide. It's just a nitrogen and an oxygen molecule together. In your body, in your blood, it can be measured, and within a very short time of activating that with certain means, we can talk about it a little bit later, you can actually show that nitric oxide increases in your body. I tried to do the same thing when I was with Gerovita International, but the starting materials were a little bit toxic, so I didn't really continue, and so on and so on. But the key point here is nitric oxide controls heart functions, blood pressure, sexuality. People who are taking these things, I mean, Viagra basically works on that principle, right? It increases nitric oxide, right? And what does the nitric oxide do? It increases the blood flow into that blah, 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 and then things start working, Right. And this nitric oxide is connected to so many different positive health things. And after the age of 40, it quickly decreases, right? And just very recently, Texas University, Dr. Janet Zand and another researcher from Texas University, they found it was just by accident. I mean, I talked to them, right? And 2 plant extracts, a fruity lozenges. It's called Neo 40. And if you let this melt away in your mouth, within 20 minutes, the saliva sticks that the doctor uses sometimes to check things and so on, you can show that within it will actually increase in your body, the nitric oxide. And that is prevented when you use the high fructose corn syrup. So it's not only the sugar with the bad calories and so on and so on. It really messes up basic metabolic reactions in your body, right? So we have number one importance, exercise. Yes. Well, at my age, I haven't done any exercise. Does not make any difference. Start out by taking anybody, your wife, your dog, your girlfriend, anybody, boyfriend, whatever you're into. Take him for a walk, right? In the evening, after dinner, go for a half-hour walk. Go to the beach. I mean, it's so beautiful to watch all this down there, right? And so that's a good starting point. And then you do a little bit more weightlifting, include this, you work yourself into it. Become a member with a regular health club, and they will show you how to do it. I mean, it is simple.
Okay, now these ideas you've been working on since the 70s. So now these ideas enjoy greater currency. Many people, possibly not exactly the majority yet, but most people would agree that your ideas have merit. And just very recently, AMA, I believe, if I'm correct in this, they're trying to characterize overweight as a disease. How do you interpret that? Is that a step forward? How do you interpret that, Hans?
Well, you can actually quote me on that, and probably people have really complained about that, but I would classify it as one of the dumbest thing ever, right? I mean, why would you want to do that?
I don't know.
Our healthcare system is already apparently $3 trillion in the hole. And they even get with this healthcare system, sometimes you're a little bit older. I had a lady that was 74 years. The doctor ordered medical tests, and the medical said, no, for you at your age, you don't need that, right? I mean, this is age discrimination. This is ridiculous what they're doing, right? Now, 70%, 60 to 70% of the people are overweight. Now, figure, it now gives the drug companies a big incentive to develop a weight loss drug. What is the weight loss drug going to do? Burn your calories? No, it can't. I mean, it's a lot of BS, scientific total BS. But the key point here is money. Right. Now you have 70% of the people running to a doctor and getting another pill for something like this. I mean, just alone the financial, it's the total breakdown of our healthcare system if you apply that. On the other hand, if you take doctors who really know what they're doing, well, they will have their people come in, and this is what I do at the Health Integration Center in Torrance, right? And I do weight loss, anti-aging, and this counseling. And when I do weight loss counseling, I have to explain the different factors that come into this.
Sure.
And so therefore, I have to have at least 2 sessions minimum with people where I explain everything, I put on certain diets and blah, 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 right? The cost of that, I mean, this is just immense, right? And again, our healthcare system down the drain. Right?
If I can ask this question as well. Whenever I listen to debates on wellness, you'll find people who I would characterize as the orthodox approach to wellness. They say that a calorie is a calorie. It doesn't matter. It's all calories. And of course, other people say, no, that's completely not so. And one little joke I like to make is, okay, if a calorie is just a calorie, and I consume, say, 1,800 calories a day of vodka, will I be a healthy fellow? And then people usually say, well, no, obviously you won't. Then obviously I said, well, then obviously then it just can't be calories that I'm consuming, can it? It has to be something else. And so what is a better scientific answer when someone says, no, all calories are the same, whether it's from Coca-Cola or it's from eating apples or eating a piece of chicken?
No, totally. I mean, it's total nonsense when you say a calorie is a calorie. Scientifically makes no sense whatsoever. Because for a body to function normally, we establish requirements, and that's in respect to protein, minerals, very important. Nobody really thinks about this a lot. Because, see, when you have a normal supply of nutrients into your body and you don't have the right distribution of minerals in your body, it doesn't work. Why not? Because actually nutrients hitch a ride in and outside the cell. So a nutrient, amino acids, and so on, they will go inside the cell with the help of minerals. And when they are metabolized, the metabolites they get outside in the cell into the fluids and then through the kidneys out in the urine and so on. Again, this is dominated very much by minerals, right? And you don't have minerals. Actually, this is very interesting. It goes into, and one of the key points to prove that point is when they at first discovered Gatorade. I mean, the Gatorade that they originally discovered, not the junk that's being sold today, right? Because it's totally different chemically, right? and it just contains, well, let's not go to that. Anyway, it's very distressing. But there was a very sharp trainer in football. I think it was Miami Dolphins, wasn't it? Or somebody like that. He observed that whenever the athletes, football team, were performing in a higher environment temperature, when it was really hot, they would sweat more, and immediately with the increase in sweating, their performance was dropped down. Well, what's the connection between sweating? So he actually had the athletes wear underwear that was washed in distilled water. And when they started sweating in the first half, they took off the underwear, and they gave them clean underwear, and they extracted the underwear with distilled water and said, and looked what people were sweating out, what the athletes were sweating out. And then they did the same thing again a little bit later on towards the end of the game. And they found with an increase in sweating, you have a total decrease in performance.
Wow.
Well, what was the key point of this? And they analyzed the sweat, and basically it was found minerals, right? Key minerals. I mean, this is from calcium, magnesium, zinc, and copper, and you name it. It's in there.
Hans, unfortunately, we're going to have to end the interview now. Please do me a favor. Tell the listeners where they can contact you here in California.
Okay. The best thing, if in order to do some health practice counseling, anti-aging, and so on, it's the Health Integration in Torrance. We are close to Hawthorne and Sepulveda, 310-326-8625. Again, 310-326-8625. They can contact there, or they can make an appointment to see me over there. And the best thing to start out with this, look at my ebook, Lifelong Health, Learn How to Control Your Genes to Stay Young with Age. Right? That's the best thing. It is now sold with the help of a nonprofit organization for a mere $7.50. Right?
Hans, that sounds good. We have to run. This is Josh Lane with Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live television network. My guest has been Hans Kugler, one of the most influential men in the field of wellness today. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
All right.
Hi, this is Susan Levin, owner and founder of Speaker Services, inviting you to join me and co-host Jean Noel Bassiar on Monday evenings, 5 p.m. Pacific, for our new show, Talk Up Your Business, Speak Your Way to More Profits. We'll be talking to you about how to use your expertise to grow your business or service through speaking. Our expert speakers and author guests will share their stories and success secrets with you. Don't forget to tune in to Talk Up Your Business Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Burness Heron inviting you to join me every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our all-new show, The Mortgage Show. Join us as we discuss exclusive new products and programs through government and conventional financing. No mortgage-related topics are spared. Come with me through this journey of informative, stimulating conversation, giving you the facts, clarity, and insight you deserve. You never heard a mortgage show like this before. You'll be enlightened, educated at the same time. This is for the community, for the nation, for everyone. As the industry evolves, we evolve. So don't forget to tune into The Mortgage Show, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or just watch us on Ustream TV, reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute. Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live television network. Our conversation continues with Dr. Hans Kugler in the field of anti-aging, one of the most influential scientists working today, and one of the scientists who actually was there at the basically very beginning, who has continued with his research. And we were talking about a study about athletes and sweating and minerals, and we ended that segment. And so the study said that when the athletes lost minerals, their performance declined.
Definitely. And again, that was done especially in some games where the games were performed at a higher temperature, right? Where it's really muggy or humid and, conditions were easy to sweat. And the more the athletes sweat and the more minerals they lost, the stronger was the decrease in their performance. There's no question about it.
And let me ask you, Hans, is this an accurate statement? That one of the problems with some consumption of processed sugar is that it washes the trace mineral zinc out of the body, and we need zinc for wound healing and blood sugar issues. And so is that one of the issues why we should try not to use any processed sugar?
Totally. I mean, the connection with zinc goes even further than that. I mean, it literally eliminates the most important ingredients, which are minerals, from your nutrients. I mean, if you decrease nutrients, the minerals, nutrients to get inside your cells. I mean, you stick them in here, right? Then they go down in your stomach. Your stomach is just a big holding tank, right? It mixes, and then it goes into the intestine. And from there, it is absorbed. And when it's absorbed, it's got to go into the cells. And there is no minerals in it. It doesn't go in there. The minerals, the nutrients actually hitch a ride on the minerals inside the cells. And that's where sodium, potassium comes in important, right? Also the calcium, magnesium, the zinc, and the copper, and everything else. Now, zinc and copper play a special role because they form an enzyme called SOD, superoxide dismutase. It's actually shaped like a football, right? And in one focal point, you have copper, and the other one, you have zinc. And if you have only one of the minerals available, it cannot form the whole enzyme, right? And so on. I mean, one chain reaction after another.
Okay, and to go back to what you said in the last segment. So if you have a conversation with another physician, and the physician says to you, oh, no, it's just all calories, then you can very simply say to them, okay, calories are important, but also important is, in the food we consume, the protein and the minerals. It can't just be calories.
Quality of food.
Okay, so the quality food, the complex carbohydrate has to have protein and minerals. And is there any comeback that opposing physician could say to you?
No, not really. I mean, if he knows the science, he won't.
But then they'll just be, but then why? Now these people who are MDs, I was listening to National Public Radio, and there was some physician on just maybe a couple of months ago, and this female physician practicing in Los Angeles said, "Oh no, just all calories." Now, how could this physician not understand the need for minerals and protein in our caloric intake?
Yeah, because the basic number of hours in nutrition taught in medical school is probably 2 or 3 hours. Those guys don't know anything about nutrition. And then when I argue with MDs about this, they said, well, that may be right, but when the people come to us, they're already sick. We got to respond to that, right? And that's when
that's fair too, but the physician still can teach them, listen, I think it's good for you to stop drinking soda at this very moment.
Well, that's why I am associated with our medical organization, the International Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. We have State of California 501c-3 nonprofit status.
What's the name of that group again?
International Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine,
yes.
Right? I mean, totally nonprofit. You have an extra $1 million or whatever laying around, send it to us. We give you a statement. You can take it as a write-off and so on. But there are other organizations. And the bigger organizations that we all step behind was the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, right? I really recognized that that was almost 12 years ago. I mean, they're going fine. And the president of A4M, Dr. Ron Klotz, what a nice guy. right? I mean, truly devoted to bringing the message of anti-aging to people. Lots of publications. As a matter of, if you want to look at it, is www.worldhealth.net, right? That's our information. And so we all were behind them to build them up. Now they are now close to, I think, around 30 or 40,000 members.
Wow.
The biggest meeting is held in Las Vegas in December. And the number one change to regular medical meetings is that laypersons can attend the meetings, right? And then we have also exhibitors. During the last meeting, we had 350 exhibitors from every aspect of anti-aging. Oh, this is totally fascinating, right? And that's where mostly I present my research and my data.
So
right?
you're saying now that these ideas that you had to fight for in the 70s, they have to fight for today, but they are gaining ground and that they are largely scientifically accepted and that people just need to hear about them now?
Right. As a matter of fact, the example that I gave a little bit earlier with Professor Robert Lustig from Davis University, Northern California, right? Very simple. Sugar, the Bitter Truth. There were actually 3 researchers. They were on CBS 60 Minutes.
I happened to see that. It was very impressive.
Right. Sugar is not only bad for you, it is addictive, it is poisonous. And depending when you use all these sweeteners, I mean, they should put an extreme income tax on high fructose corn syrup from Japan and whatever,
By the way, when I saw Lustig on 60 Minutes, and I think they gave him pretty much 20 minutes, I only saw it I didn't see it when it was originally on TV. I saw it on a video just maybe a year and a half ago or so, or a year ago. I was so stunned, actually, that it was so well done. I could find nothing to criticize, and I thought, oh my God, I've lived long enough to see this information that I knew in the 60s and 70s to be valuable, and people just said, go buzz off. You have nothing to say. And now that must be mainstream, because if you see it on 60 Minutes, it has to be mainstream, doesn't it? That's not a criticism. That's just an observation.
That's right. No, it's totally correct. But see, also, when you really look at that, there's a little revolution going on in Orthodox medicine. And Lustig is one of the people who says, look, science is number one, right? I mean, there's all those special interests out there that want to sell you every piece of garbage food, right, just to make profits,
right,
and including the high fructose corn syrup. And I mean, there's so much junk out there that's being sold. It's just unbelievable. And not to offend these people, because they pay the advertising money on television and so on and so on, right?
Right.
I mean, and it goes from the drugs and everything else, right? But I think this really started about 150 years ago, the big problem, when they discovered penicillin, right? Penicillin was an antibiotic, and that antibiotic cured a disease, which was an infection in general.
Right.
So they immediately assumed, now you know what happens when you assume you're making blank, blank, blank out of yourself and me and so on, right? And when you assume that one thing is the same as another one, the next step then that there must be a drug for every disease, that was a totally wrong step. And everybody knows it. I mean, in the sciences, nobody will argue over that, right? And that's really what it's all about today. I mean, we really need to educate people. The AMA class, I don't know what their really reasoning was behind it. They probably, hey, we've got to shock the public out there into really recognizing what's the real problem. I mean, look at overweight. When I sit anywhere and I see the people wobbling down the street,
right,
horrifying, right? And what's the key thing, right? Lack of exercise, garbage food in, garbage out, and so on and so on.
Well, can I ask, is this fair to say that the reason most Americans are overweight is not their genetics, which is probably fantastic, but it's simply their consumption of processed sugar and processed flour? It's simply dietary, and then they don't exercise. But if I can say this, exercise doesn't build cells, does it? But the food you eat and the water you drink and the air you breathe build cells. So really, it's largely a food problem, isn't it?
Oh, totally, yeah.
And if people stop drinking sodas, and let's say they ate a lot of apples, let's say they ate too many apples, they still wouldn't be overweight, would they?
They
wouldn't.
They couldn't eat as many apples, right?
It's the processed sugar that's really, and flour, that's very straightforward. It's just doing us in. And how many people really don't know that now?
Well, that's really what we are into, right? I mean, with our efforts to show the public out there that our so-called healthcare system is nothing but a disease management business, that we've got to go back to healthcare. And with the scientists, there's no disagreement. I'm with Cheraskin's definition of lifelong health, a state of homeostasis achieved by doing all these variables, these health practices correctly. And then people used to say, oh, well, that's just health practice. No, it isn't just health practices, because telomere research, a part of aging research.
And what are telomeres?
Okay. Telomeres, at the end of your DNA molecules in every cell, you have little extensions, and they're called telomeres. They're the longest at the time of birth. They have a certain number of subdivisions. Every time when a cell divides, it chops off one of those subdivisions. And for humans, 54 corresponds to the maximum lifespan of about 110 to 120.
So you're saying that if we Americans, or everyone, we humans, if we were to take care of ourselves, eating carefully, exercising, cleaner environment, that the bulk of us, barring accidents or whatever, could live to be 110 or 120. You feel the maximum lifespan of humans is scientifically, legitimately stated at about 110 to 120.
Yeah, no question about it. And our longevity studies, they've been a long time before even telomeres were discovered. They totally agree with the telomere sciences, right? And that's really the nice part. It's not just health practices. True good health practices are true anti-aging modalities. And in order of priority,
in other words, it's more than just a little bit of you're being a hobbyist if you're exercising or eating carefully. These are health modalities.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And with exercise, yes, we're doing a little bit some exercise to bring your heart rate up. But once your heart rate up, if I do the weight and resistance exercises correctly, it will keep my heart rate up. So I don't have to sit for half an hour boring on a bicycle for my heart. I can actually do something with the weightlifting. I can build lean muscle mass. I improve everything along those lines, right? I reduce cognitive losses and so on. So number one, exercise. Number two, quality of nutrition, right? Number three, supplements, correctly put together supplements, because yes, some of the supplements that we have, they are in the foods already, but no, there's a lot of supplements out there. And again, just go to a health food store, right? All the different supplements that are important for various aspects of your overall health. I mean, that's from fish oil to the enzymes, right? The antioxidants in general, but then you already have to know that overdoing antioxidants can actually slow down your body, but you need a basic good amount for that. So you have the supplements. And the next thing is then detoxing. Detoxing becomes more and more important with the discovery of these various different chemicals like genetically modified foods and so on that interfere with normal gene control in your body, right? And
when you're talking about detoxing, you're talking about not just washing the body every day, but using something to cleanse the liver, or is that what we're speaking about?
Right, yeah. I mean, there's a very simple program, and I always recommend, just to be safe, check with your doctor, hopefully, alternative and anti-aging, aggressive, and if you don't have a doctor, you, again, go to A4M, the website, worldhealth.net, and you can find a doctor in your area that is really into anti-aging and health and fitness and all these things. I mean, not the drugs, right? And if you try to plug the drugs into this definition of real lifelong health, you will recognize it doesn't work, right? And so on. Anyway, and so then you have detoxing. And the detoxing, the best thing, in my opinion, is to use non-flush. Again, go to a health food store, ask for non-flushing niacin. There's two of them, niacinamide, niacin hexanicotinate. You take about 1.5 grams, then you do your exercise, then you sit.
You recommend 1,500 milligrams of niacin taken all at once.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
And then you do exercise. I mean, at first you build up. You take one, the next day you take two, and so on. I've never heard of any problems with that, but you want to be careful, and maybe even check with your doctor if there are any problems along the line of doing that, And then you go and sit in the sauna and sweat. And actually, the scientists have shown that what you sweat out on your skin, which is actually known as your second kidneys, is very much the same ratio of toxins that are found in fat tissue in your body, right? They've done an analysis of that, gone in, take samples out of fat tissue, analyze them with an instrument called mass spec. Mass spec is the king of the analytical
That's a
machine.
mass spectrum.
Right, mass spectrum analysis,
Okay.
right? And so they find whatever comes out is exactly proportional to what's in your body, the toxins. And if you do this about for 6 weeks, twice
Excuse me. And toxins are things like lead or cadmium or mercury. Is that what we're speaking about?
that, but also herbicides, pesticides, all these organic chemicals, some of the food additives, and so on. And then, oh, God, this is a fascinating area because it's another one. Maybe later we should talk about that. You know, it goes into all this Florida case with shooting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah,
Which case?
well, you know, the Zimmerman and blah blah blah. You know, they found, for example, that the person who was shot on there had in its possession, guess what? How can that be? How can there be anything wrong with that? Arizona tea and a certain cough syrup. Well, you could Google that on the internet too, and maybe
No, I hadn't heard about this.
We'll think about it later. Actually, what the kids are doing, they take this certain cough syrup plus Skittles plus Arizona iced tea, and they mix them together, and it forms a addictive substance that really puts you on a high, that affects your overall performance.
Oh my God, I'd never heard of this.
Oh yeah, it's right in there. It's finally coming out. You know, they try to see if,
Oh my God.
if they bring it out in the public, some other kids will see, oh, I can go to the store, I can buy these things, and I go to another high.
This is a cough medicine, and
yeah.
oh, it's.
Yeah.
I
Actually,
had no idea.
It's a very well-known, you know, cough medicine.
I guess I'm out of the loop, Hans. I didn't know. Let me just take
You're not the only one.
a brief state. For those of you just tuning in,
Stupidity reigns in this field. You
there
know,
is some stupidity. We're speaking with Dr. Hans Kugler, PhD, one of the most influential thinkers in the field of wellness, working in the United States and worldwide. And Dr. Hans Kugler is my guest. And all right, so if I sit in a sauna, so if let's say I sit in a regular, I go to a health club and I sit in a sauna.
Or infrared sauna. Infrared sauna is actually better.
Okay, those are that's something. That was the question. There's something new now. There's not the old-fashioned sauna. You sit and you sweat, and now there's something new. Is it better?
No. Yeah. Well, actually, the infrared sauna is a little bit more effective, but it costs a lot more. You know, I mean, people put that in their own houses and so on. But the key thing is, take non-flushing. You could actually build up regular niacin to 1.5 grams, but because regular niacin makes your skin flush and prickle, and people never run to the emergency room for that.
They do.
Right?
If they didn't know in advance, they think something bad happened to them.
Right. So, but anyway, it's not really that bad. But what the Narconon people did much earlier,
What's Narconon?
Oh, Narconon is a anti-drug or a drug treatment facility, right? And there was this big argument many years ago. Oh, just say no. Right? I mean, just say no to the drugs, right? And you're supposed to get through with kids.
Was that KNOW or just say no? Right?
That's a good idea.
You,
that's a good
I didn't make that up. I'm just repeating that.
I should remember that. Yeah. But anyway, so all what they did was, the basic idea was, well, just say no, and we're gonna get to your head, and you're psycho, et cetera, and you don't do any drugs anymore. And the Narconon people said, no, it's not so, because they had some good scientists and they presented at medical meetings showing that the drugs metabolize in your body, and some of the drugs and metabolites are in adipose and fat tissue. And guess what? Nerve tissue is the key tissue that surrounds fat is a key tissue that surrounds nerve tissues. And that actually induces you, makes you do drugs again. So what they were saying, if you use that niacin sauna-based detox, then you will get these things out of your body and it should improve. And actually, the bottom line results were, if you just go along those lines and you try to get to your, convince people who just say no and so on, the results were basically 12%. I mean, literally no good.
Right.
And if you use the combination of the non-flushing niacin or niacin-based sauna detox with it, the effectiveness went up to 70 to 80%.
Well, that's certainly much better.
It was extremely effective. But again, it was ignored by orthodox medicine. The same as my heart recovery, right? I mean, it's really magnificent, made into medical textbooks, and everybody reads it. I mean, we have other people now that were going through it with the same thing, with good results and so on. But see, it's not sponsored by any drug company. right?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't sell any drugs, so why would you really want to do that?
Well, unfortunately, since money is definitely an issue,
Mm.
but I like to feel that indeed things are getting better. More people know about wellness in general, and they want a cleaner environment. I think things are getting better. If I can ask this, you go just to put you on a limb a little bit, got on a limb. Over the next, say, 10 or so years, do you think that these ideas will become much, much more popular?
We hope so, because we are making a concerted effort. And I'm the basic instigator there. I kind of like that because I'm not really very hot about what the government does. And the government kind of gave me a when I was with a vitamin company. It was a very phony way they settled that, right? I mean, they came to this company and they said, well, they filed a complaint on excessive claims. Well, any writer in any of the health field or anywhere, when they have good results, they do a little bit excessive stuff. Well, I knew that they were doing this. So at this company, I initiated a sign-off requirement. Any scientist who was quoted as saying something important had to be shown the quote and had to sign off.
That seems like a prudent thing to do.
So nothing with my name on it that showed that, right? With any one of the far out quotes, if a writer made up anything like this, they couldn't find any record that they've shown it to me and I signed off, right? So I took my own attorney, and after a few months of expensive, and more expensive, he said, well, they're finally giving in, and the settlement is no judgment, no proven guilt, no demonstrated guilt, no admitted guilt, for settlement purposes only, blah, blah, blah. And we signed the agreement. And guess what? After we signed it, no, it's a little bit of they give you, because somewhat in 16 pages of text, it says, well, if you endorse a new product, you must have good documentation. Well, naturally, I do this with everything. I mean, I can demonstrate this with every paper I ever wrote. And I mean, I learned this from a lot of other good scientists. When you have the documentation, then nobody will argue with you, right?
Right.
But according to this settlement, if they're putting in a settlement, it means like, oh, well, you need special reminding that it does that and so on. And my attorney didn't catch that, right? And so I paid a lot of money, and it was worth absolutely nothing, the settlement, bottom line. But in the meantime, when I had my car accident, I hired the same guy again, the same blank, blank, blank attorney, right? And then when we lost that case, I mean, it was so amazing. I mean, during the whole court procedures, I was very often, I said, God, this guy is really, I mean, I have the feeling that a 12-year-old with a little bit some logic would ask more questions than the others, but the opposing attorney was a real sharp cookie. He kept distorting facts, and I kept pointing it out to them, and he didn't do anything about it. Well, I learned a lot of things. Then later on, when we lost the case, right? I mean, and I went to all the special people. I went to, for example, UCLA Law School, inquire about things. I went to malpractice lawyers, and everybody said, no, you should sue that guy for malpractice, right? And then everybody I talked to said, no, go talk to the guy. And I talked to the guy, and or he was apparently, nice and would think about it, blah, blah, blah. But again, tricky. There's not only tricky dick, there's tricky attorneys and so on, right? That basic idea, I was told by the malpractice lawyer that I had between 2 and 4 years' time to file a malpractice lawsuit. And the guy just kept extending and smiling and possibly, yeah, we agree with it, and so on. And once it was past 2 years, suddenly he filed against me for the balance of the account, right? Why? Well, only he knew that the legal system had changed from 2 to 4 years to just 2 years. So it was 2 years. I couldn't file a lawsuit anymore, malpractice lawsuit. So he files against me, and so on. Then I write a complaint with the California Bar Association against the attorney.
Now that's very upsetting when you're in the right and
I know.
you're not well treated.
But it's happened in this field so often. Like Dr. Ron Klotz from A4M asked me once, he called me, he says, in the Midwest, there's a gentleman who has a health food store, and very simply, he sells some vitamins, and he made some claims that probiotics can be really good for your immune system. I mean, totally. He said, Hans, this guy needs a little bit of help. So I did literature searches and showed all this. I get all the documentation. No, they don't accept that. See, the government has unlimited amounts of money.
They do.
And they push you on it. They push you, push you, push you.
Right.
You're using your last penny that you
Right.
have. And then you're kind of pushed into accepting what looks like a normal settlement, but it really isn't.
Right.
You know. But anyway, oops, that blocked me a little bit out in the space.
No, that's
but
okay.
really,
that's because that
there's some-
unfortunately does happen, and
there's some-
people should know that.
Yeah, there's some things that really tick me off. I mean, get me going, and I'll tell you more about it. But anyway, the bottom line, when I say I'm sort of the one who initiates that, because when I see the government really messing up, the government under the influence of special interests,
Right.
from the drug industry,
The
the food
government,
industry, and
right.
everything
Special
else,
interests,
right? And when I give talks at medical meetings, you have no idea how many doctors after my talk come, hey, why don't you say this? Why don't you say this? You're lucky they can't take your degree away from me. There are actually MDs out there that are afraid that the government will come after you.
Oh, yes, I know that.
If you do that.
And they do come after them.
And they do, right?
They do.
And so I am the one who initiates all of that. And now coming back to your basic question, will we see any results? We see hopefully, because it's not only major anti-aging medical organizations, it's key people in that field, it's some radio and TV shows, and so on and so on, where very simply we will bring the message that what we have as healthcare today is nothing else but disease management, drug influence stuff. I mean, and we have to change that back to healthcare.
No, Hans, I completely agree with you. For those of you just tuning in, we've been speaking with Dr. Hans Kugler, PhD, one of the most influential scientists working today in the field of wellness. You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live television network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Hi, this is Jean Noel Bassior, inviting you to join me for my new show, The Book Beat, Monday evenings at 6:30 p.m. I'll be talking to authors about their latest book so you can find a fantastic read. But more than that, I'll be talking to experts about how you can write your own book and get it published. So tune in on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on latalklive.com. And remember, you can catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Y'all ready for this?
Hi, I'm Jerry Bell of the Daz Band in New Birth,
And I'm Brahima Arsalan.
inviting you to join us every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time for Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics, baby.
Join us as we play some of the greatest hits of soul and R&B and listen in to interesting discussions with the legends of the music.
So don't you forget, join us on the Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics. You'll love it. Exclusively on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio.
Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com, baby.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure.
This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk, baby. We are music.
Hi, this is Starlet Quarles, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for a new show right here on LA Talk Live, The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live television network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. And our guest for the next segment is Jackie Keller, who has written a very nice book called Body After Baby. And Jackie has been a guest on Here's to Your Health before. And Jackie also owns a catering company here in Los Angeles. And Jackie Keller is our guest today, and she is going to be doing a segment, Cooking with Summer Flowers. And I think, are we set up? We're almost set up. Jackie Keller, we're doing some technical stuff in the background. And let me see here. And I believe Jackie told me that it's going to be a vegan approach for the dinner. And I guess, Jackie, it's going to be kind of a mime show at this very moment, so you can just kind of mime the materials. Hello, Jackie. Hello there. Yes, it's just for the hearing impaired, Jackie is there, and I'm going to explain what's going on. And the idea of nutrition is important, and we just had Dr. Hans Kugler on, who is really, I hate to keep saying this, one of the most influential men in the field of wellness today, and was also in the 1970s, when it was really much more lonely to be involved with this subject. Now it's nice to have a tremendous amount of scientific support and also the support of the public. So Jackie Keller is ready. Nestor, are we ready with Jackie? We are. Jackie Keller, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you, Josh.
Happy to have you here. And this is your second time on the show. And once again, what is the name of your book and what's the name of your catering company here in LA?
My company is called NutriFit.
NutriFit?
We're Los Angeles' premier personal catering service and healthy food company. We've been in business for 26 years this month, so very proud of that anniversary date, and happy to be back on the air with you to talk about Body After Baby, which is my book. It was published in 2008 by Avery Publishing, and it's really not just about getting your body back after you have a baby, although the plan is a 30-day program that's laid out for new moms. It's also a plan for healthy eating for the whole family. And I'm pleased that I have emails from families that are following this program for years and years now. Dad is on it, and grandma's on it, and the kids are on it. So it's just a healthy way to eat.
Sounds very good. Excuse me, Nestor, it sounds like we're in the Yukon. Do you hear that sound there? The Yukon sound here coming up?
There's a lot of wind in this room.
Okay, this is very good. I guess it's just the health of the salad blowing. All right,
there
we'll
you go.
try to ignore that.
It's a summer breeze.
Last time, that's very kind of you. Last time you were here, you said that you felt that a woman, after having a child, can recover her, I'll use the word health or body. Yeah, did you say 60 days?
I said 30, and a good word for that is the word that Dr. Oz used when he wrote a comment for my book, which is on the book jacket. He said, it's a wise plan to get your chi back. So it's really all about just coming back into a healthy frame of mind, a healthy physical status, both physically, mentally, and sort of just reaffirming who you are as a a person after you've sort of been absorbed by the whole baby process.
No, okay. And so now, when you were on last time you did the show,
Right.
and you said a woman can recover in 30 days, I was just shocked to hear that, because I thought that really to recover from a child, you have to be healthy enough to conceive, healthy enough to carry for 9
Right.
months, healthy enough to deliver a healthy baby, and then have all the additional demands on your time taking care of the child. I really thought that realistically, in my own mind, it would take a healthy woman a year to come back. And when you said 30 days, I just really thought, wow, I just had no idea. Are you saying that in traditional cultures that indeed women recover in 30 days theoretically?
Well, you said a couple of very key things when you went through that introduction, so to speak. One was that if you enter the process at a healthy weight and in a healthy body to begin with,
Right.
and that's really critical to understanding how you could possibly get back to that healthy state 30 days later. If you enter the pregnancy behind the curve, you're overweight to start with, or you're out of shape, you haven't been exercising, you haven't been taking care of yourself,
Right.
naturally it's going to take you longer to get back to a healthy status because you weren't there to start with.
Right.
If you enter the whole process underslept, overwhelmed, and without enough support in your life, and I'm not talking about nannies and personal trainers and personal chefs. I'm talking about a supportive partner, or perhaps a support system between friends and family that allows you to get a little bit of rest through the process and recover more quickly, then you're not going to get back there in 30 days. But not that I'm a shining example of perfect health or perfect support, but I had 2 kids, and I was back in shape in 30 days after each one of them, and I had 2 C-sections, neither of which were planned. So it is possible to do, and I know that because I've done it myself. Is it the everyday thing? Not in our culture. And Josh, that's because women in our culture tend to give themselves permission to take longer. We do what's expected of us and what our expectation is of ourselves. So if your expectation is of yourself that I'm going to give myself a year to get back to what I consider to be normal or healthy, you'll give yourself that year. It's sort of like work expanding to the amount of time allotted for it. If you give yourself a month and you haven't gone crazy, gained 50 pounds, had a terrible time of the childbirth, had extensive surgery. I mean, I did have 2 C-sections.
Can I ask you a
Those are
question?
major surgeries.
You said 50 pounds. So what opinion is the correct weight for a healthy woman to gain to deliver a healthy child? Is it 25 pounds?
That's what the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology considers to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so my healthy number is based in science. It's based on what the conventional medical science says. If you enter the pregnancy overweight, you need to gain less weight, 15 to 20 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
If you enter the pregnancy underweight, you may need to gain a little bit more weight. But if you enter the pregnancy at a healthy weight, the normal healthy weight gain recommendation is 20 to 25 pounds. And a lot of women tend to put on more. Some of it's genetic, some of it's lifestyle, some of it's just, this is the first or only time in their lives they have an excuse to get really big. There's lots of reasons why women gain weight. Some are controllable, some are not. Without judging people for it, I'm just saying it's easier to get back into your pre-pregnancy self if you gain the right amount of weight to begin with, if you exercise throughout your pregnancy, and if you have a plan. And that's why I wrote the book. Because the book is a plan. It's a 30-day plan. It tells you what movements are safe and effective. They're all doctor approved. There's doctors throughout the book that have approved all the different phases of the plan and the different recommendations. So it's just a carefully thought out, common sense plan to get back into your own chi.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jackie.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun to talk about it. And as I said, I like to think of it as a handbook for families, not just for moms and not just for people that are immediately in the postpartum stage, because I did take great pains when I wrote the book to outline an eating plan that was appropriate for non-breastfeeding women and for husbands and for children.
All right.
So there's a little bit of everything there.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And now today, you're going to make us salads with summertime flowers.
I am, and
Okay.
that's because
like
one
fun.
of the features of NutriFit, of course, is that we have our own farm, and we're very, very proud of our own farm. It's something that we started about 3 years ago. The farm is located on the central coast of California, and while it's not a big farm, I mean, it's not hundreds of acres by any stretch of the means, it is someplace where we grow a lot of the produce that we use in our meals that are delivered to our clients. And this year we decided to grow some edible flowers because I love the look of flowers with food, to say nothing of the fact that flowers have a tremendous nutritional punch, which a lot of people don't realize. We think of flowers as, oh, they're pretty, they're garnish. But flowers are very nutritious, and so we started to grow edible flowers this year, and we've had a bumper crop. So I've been challenged with coming up with some exciting recipes using our NutriFit grown flowers, and our brand for our produce is Simply Health Growers. So they're Simply Health Growers flowers, and I'm really happy to bring some samples of what we've grown.
Any nasturtium in there?
There is no nasturtium in here, only because I just used it all up.
Aha.
We've had an unbelievable crop of nasturtium, some of the most beautiful flowers, as you know.
Yeah, they really grow, don't they?
Oh, they
take over the
do.
garden.
They are great. And,
Nice.
Being first-time flower growers, we didn't realize how prolific they are. So
Right.
we have nasturtium madness, and I have a wonderful nasturtium soup recipe, which I'm happy to share with you. Today I brought the borage, which also is pretty robust. Borage is this beautiful little tiny blue flower. One of the things with borage is, of course, the flower is very, very tiny. The leaves are large. You can eat the leaves. They're edible if you get them while they're young, before they get kind of fuzzy and prickly. The borage flowers can be used in a salad. They can be used in sautés. But the flowers are good anytime, and they're slightly sweet, which is kind of nice. We also have some edible orchid, and we have some chrysanthemums, which are edible. At the farm, we're also growing a little bit of calendula, which is an edible flower. And we know that flowers are a very good source of essential fatty acids, very healthy oils. They're also a great source of zinc, calcium, and iron. So a lot of nutritional benefit to be had from the flower. Nasturtiums, you mentioned, have kind of a radishy flavor. They're a little piquant. The chrysanthemums tend to be a little cauliflower-like. They have a flavor that's somewhat reminiscent of cauliflower. And the borage, as I mentioned, is a little bit sweet. So I just wanted to make a very simple summer salad, highly nutritious, and something that your listeners may be interested in experimenting with. So I'm a fan of bitter greens. I like the combination of bitter and sweet together in the same dish. And so I have arugula as sort of the base for the salad.
Oh, is arugula considered a bitter green?
It is by some. It does have a little bit of a bitter flavor to it. You can use as much arugula as you want. If you find it off-putting because it's sharp taste, you can mix it with a little bit of field greens, which do have baby frisee in it, a little bit of baby red oak lettuce, and some spinach, baby spinach. And again, we're growing some of these exotic greens at our farm. So this is really a farm-grown salad, if you will. And it's best to, of course, pick your greens fresh, wash them thoroughly, and use them the same day if at all possible. One of the benefits of having your own garden or your own backyard pot is that you can do that. You can just run out there, pick what you need, wash it, eat it, enjoy it. Another very underappreciated vegetable, I would say, is fennel. We don't grow fennel, but I'm putting a little bit of fresh, very thinly sliced fennel in the salad. Fennel, of course, has a flavor that's somewhat reminiscent of anise, which is a licorice flavor. Interesting fact about fennel, when you cook it, and I don't know if you've ever experimented with it, but I've been doing that because been able to get a lot of fennel and looking for creative ways to use it. Fennel is caramelizes beautifully in a wide saute pan with just a little tiny bit of moisture. You can just cook it down, add a little bit more broth, let it continue to cook down, a little bit more vegetable broth, let it cook down in stages. As you each time you add the broth and you cook it down, the fennel gets browner and browner and the flavor gets milder and milder, so that by the time it gets to be really well caramelized, you don't feel that licorice flavor as much as you feel just a lovely crunch and slightly sweet. It's a lovely, lovely vegetable. So I'm putting some fennel in there and then some heirloom tomatoes, because for me, a day without a tomato is like a day without sunshine. I am a huge tomato fiend, and I love heirloom tomatoes. We're growing them at the Mesa, all kinds of varieties of tomatoes, and these are heirlooms, so they have that beautiful variegated color.
An heirloom, for the listeners, means what exactly?
Well, it's a special, if you will, seed from which the tomato is grown, and it's I don't really know scientifically. It's not different nutritionally from regular tomatoes.
But they are earlier varieties from say 50 or 100 years ago.
Yes, and they come in all colors and different textures, different flavor properties, and these just add character and, of course, vitamin C and lycopene and wonderful texture to the salad. So now we're going to take some of our chrysanthemums, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull the petals off the flower and just scatter them throughout the salad here. I want to use the beautiful colors of the chrysanthemums. Now, these have been thoroughly washed. Of course, you want to make sure you do that before they go in. And I love the different colors that they come in. So we're going to add that brilliant yellow color, the fiery orange that comes with the little orange chrysanthemums. And then, just to make the salad more exciting, we're going to take these tiny little blue borage leaves. And you know, blue food is not, there aren't that many things that you can make with foods that are blue. If you think about it, blueberries, blackberries, eggplant if you eat the skin, but foods that are naturally blue in color, there are not that many of it.
I can't think of many, no.
Yeah, it's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just blueberries kind of come to mind. But boy, this borage, I don't know if you can see how gorgeous this salad is.
Nice colors.
Very pretty, and we eat first with our nose, so you have to address the sense of smell first. But the second sense that kicks in, of course, is the sense of sight. So if it looks good and it smells right, it's likely to pass into the mouth. If it looks bad or smells awful, it's likely to get left.
Right.
Unless you're under the age of 3, in which case you put anything into your mouth. Most of us as adults have long since passed the age where we're willing to risk eating something that doesn't smell right or taste look like it tastes good. And then I make this salad with a little bit of a honey mustard dressing, which I made up before I got here. I didn't want to.
Which is just honey and mustard.
It's Dijon mustard, there's a little bit of grapeseed oil, which is a natural oil, and a tad of honey. We have bees at the farm, and another wonderful thing for listeners to remember, of course, bees are an integral part of growing, and on a farm, in a farm setting, you need bees to cross-pollinate the things that need cross-pollination in order to flower. And the bees love edible flowers, particularly the borage. They go crazy over the borage. So our hive is fortunately thriving because there's a nice source of nectar very close by, and the bees are doing their part in making all of this happen for us. So a little bit of that honey goes into this dressing with Dijon mustard, a little bit of grapeseed oil, and some of our own proprietary salt and sugar-free spice blends that I've designed. I've designed 6 different spice blends that I use extensively in the food that we prepare at NutriFit for our clients. And this one is the Lemon Garden Blend. So it has lemon rind, which is a nice little counterbalance to the honey. And it has dill and some other common garden herbs that you might find. If you didn't have our spice blend, which is available on Amazon.com or on our website, you could easily substitute your favorite salad herbs for this. I'm a big fan of dill, so it has the dill, the lemon. It also has a little bit of marjoram and some fresh parsley too, which gives a nice peppery flavor. Sure. And then you just shake it up and you can whisk it together and then shake, shake, shake. And you want to dress the salad very lightly because it doesn't require a whole lot. One thing about flower petals is they're very delicate, and that's why a lot of people just assume that they're only for garnish, because they do get soggy, and if you overdress, you'll be sorry. So I'm going to take a little bit of our dressing, put it in a bowl, and then add a little bit of salad to it, and I hope that you'll give it a little bit of a taste so that you can share with your listeners what you think. And you want to dress the salad just before you're ready to eat it. And again, just enough dressing to barely coat what's in there. I'm making a big mess here. It's just like my kitchen counter at home.
Yeah, but if you make a mess with vegetables and flowers, it's really a very lovely mess. You can't go wrong, really.
Well, it's a colorful mess,
Yes.
That's for sure. Sorry about the overspill there. And there we have it. And we call this salad the Mesa Blooming Salad because it features all the things that bloom, or many of the things that bloom at the Mesa, which is our sort of pet name. You could garnish it on the top if you wanted to really pick up the color with edible orchid. And
That looks actually very lovely, and I could have that with a piece of fish or a piece of chicken or something.
you could, and if you wanted to do it vegan style, I would add in some beans, some freshly cooked beans. I'm a big fan of greens that are accompanied by bean. I like that combination of the texture, the meaty texture of the bean with the leafiness of the green salad. And of course, by combining that, you have increased your protein content and even more fiber to the salad, which is already loaded with fiber, and upped the iron content, which is contained in the greens as well. Mm-hmm. So the tomato, and this is another important concept for people to embrace, when you're trying to get iron out of plant foods, the non-heme iron that's contained in greens, that's contained in the flowers, that's contained in the beans, you have to add in an ingredient that's very high in vitamin C. By doing so, upping the vitamin C content, it helps unlock the iron that's found in the bean and unlock the iron that's found in the greens. So it's a terrific way of really upping the iron absorbability in these foods. And that's really important when you're talking about eliminating sources of heme iron or meat iron. You need to give the body something else to work with.
Sure.
So remember that vitamin C, high vitamin C content with the iron-rich plant food is going to be a powerful way to increase the absorbability of the vitamin C and the iron in the foods.
Okay. That's good to know.
Okay.
And obviously, of course, there was prep time, cutting all the greens up, but that's pretty fast, isn't it?
Oh, it's nothing.
It's not super
5
fast.
minutes, 5 minutes or less. Yeah, I mean, really, the time that it takes to do it is the time that it takes to cut the vegetables. The rest is just toss it together and you're good to go.
That seems very good. And Jackie Keller, once again, please tell us, how do we get in contact with you? You have a catering company here in Los Angeles. Please
I do,
tell us.
and you can find us online at NutriFitOnline.com, NutriFit online.com. That's the best way to locate me and the best place to find our catering company. You can also find us on our products on Amazon.com for our salt and sugar-free spice blends and our snacks in the book. And I love talking with people, so I hope people don't abandon the old-fashioned telephone. It's 1-800-341-4190. I'm there quite often, 6 days a week, and always happy to hear from listeners.
Well, Jackie Keller, thank you very much. Thank you for being a guest today on Here's to Your Health.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live television network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Hi, this is Angela DeJoseph. Join me Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific, The Angela DeJoseph Show. We're going to talk about health, wealth. We're going to share news, interviews, and entertainment. So don't forget to tune in to The Angela DeJoseph Show, Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific Time. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, Radio Flag, TiVo Radio, and now live on Facebook. Watch and listen directly on latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dawn Christie inviting you to join me every Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, for my all-new show, The Dawn Christie Show. Join me as I discuss love, spiritual readings, your purpose, why am I born, what am I here to do. So don't forget to tune in The Dawn Christie Show at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV, reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
This is Brett Chapin.
And this is Dorothy Dillingham Blue, inviting you to join us every Saturday at noon Pacific Standard Time for our show, La La Land Talk.
Join us as we talk with some of the top talent in LA. Artists' untold stories, your phone calls, and live on-location broadcasts have made La La Land one of the best sources in LA for everything entertainment.
So don't forget to tune in to La La Land Talk.
Exclusively on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com.
Saturdays at noon Pacific Time. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/LaLaLandTalk, Twitter, twitter.com/LaLaLandTalk. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live.
And we are more than just talk. I think we've got a Shakespeare monologue or two we could do. Yeah.
Jazz hands,
Jazz hands. Kickball change.
Good
That's what
stuff.
I'm saying.
I'll do some Pippin.
Ooh, yeah. Some miming. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. I'm in a box.
Hello, I'm Joel Ramirez
And I'm Lolita Robinson Coppage, and welcome to Joy in My House
on LATalkLive.com. Inspirational radio
with a touch of recovery.
A reality show where nothing is left unsaid,
And no one is insignificant who says it.
exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live television network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. And our next segment, this new Organogold tea company, been around only past 4 or 5 years. And Arcella and Lorena are here. Arcella and Lorena, thank you for being guests today on Here's to Your Health.
Thank you.
And,
Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. I met you at the bodybuilding competition on July 4th down in Muscle Beach. Always a kind of a nice scene. And you had a display of your teas. And what do these teas do for me?
With their tea and coffee, and we have the supplements. It's a health and first of all, for me, let me tell you what it did for me personally.
Alrighty.
For me personally, I had my first cup on a Tuesday evening. I was invited to a mixer, and it tastes delicious. It tastes delicious. And I took it home, and I was drinking the coffee for about a week. And that following, and I read about online. I went online and I read about the coffee and about the Ganoderma infused into the coffee.
What's that word, Ganoderma?
Ganoderma.
I do not know the term.
We'll get into it.
Yes.
We'll get into it. And for me, for the coffee, and it works for me personally to detoxify my body on a daily basis. So I'm drinking a healthy coffee. For me.
Okay.
That's my personal story. And Arcella.
That's a fair story. That's fine. That's a fine story.
But I want to get that off. For me personally, the coffee is so delicious and it's good for me. And
you mentioned that you lost 125 pounds.
I've lost over 125 pounds.
And are you 6 foot tall?
I'm 6 foot tall. Yes.
6 foot tall.
Yes.
So you lost 125 pounds.
Yes, and I'm maintaining my weight loss. And I found that I only do things that are healthy. I only drink and I drink coffee as is. I drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee a day. And I didn't realize the coffee that I was drinking and putting in coffee and tea that I was drinking, putting into my body was what's the word I'm looking for? Acidic. And it was just horrible. And it was giving me my moods, and it was horrible in my skin. And then I discovered Organogold. And I'm going to let you take over here.
Arcella, so how did you become involved with the Organogold tea and coffee company?
Well, actually, I was introduced almost 3 years ago, and I was not the coffee drinker, nor was I the tea drinker, but I knew a lot of people around me who were drinking coffee and tea, and I saw some of the effects that you just spoke about. I saw some people with the jitters, and then the crash, and then they drink another cup to get back up, and excited and get that energy. And so with Organogold, what we've done is we've just made the habit healthy. And so when I got introduced, it took a few months for me to actually realize how important coffee was, and how it's not a luxury, it's a daily part of everyone's life.
Right.
And so after taking a look at it, I actually noticed that there was a healthier side of it. And so we really are a health and wellness company, but we've disguised the health and wellness within the coffee, because we know that you're more open to wake up and have a cup of coffee than you are to have your vitamins and minerals on a daily basis.
That seems fair. Yeah, seems very fair. Seems very
Yes.
fair. And so now, this is a coffee and an herbal tea company. So What are some of the herbal teas I have over here? What am I looking at?
Well, you actually have an organic green tea there.
This is organic green tea, right?
At the top, and then you have an organic red tea.
A red tea right over here. Yes. Okay.
And then we've also, to your left, there's a hot chocolate. So there's no caffeine in that, well, except for in the cocoa. Then you have our organic, or our gourmet black coffee, which is just basic black Arabica bean. And then you have the latte, which has a non-dairy creamer and sugar for those who love their coffee a little sweeter than normal. And then you have the mocha, and that's just the latte with a splash of chocolate. We call that dessert in a cup.
I see.
And then lastly, on the coffee side, the Cafe Supreme, which is my favorite. I am now a coffee drinker, and it's more for the health reasons. I have testimonies as well as what the coffee has done for me. But that Gourmet Cafe Supreme is our latte with ginseng. So that's for someone that's looking for an extra boost on a daily basis. And then you have our nutraceuticals. I was not the pill taker or the capsule taker, or not even the vitamin taker. And on a daily basis, I'm reminded, because of my energy level, to take my spores, my Ganoderma, my psyllium, and then the grapeseed oil, which is just a U.S. product. And all these are pretty much the same product that you see in the capsule form. It's packed inside of our coffee, teas, and hot chocolate, just for those people who don't remember to take it on a daily basis.
Now, is this an American company?
It's actually, the company is in Washington State. The herb itself is from China. So it's grown in its natural habitat. It's grown on a log. It's log grown, where sometimes herbs can be grown in a lab. We actually grow ours in its natural form.
Okay. And you bumped into this because you weren't feeling well, or just you suddenly discovered better quality teas and coffee? What was it with you?
A friend of mine actually reached out to me and called me over for a coffee tasting. So we do coffee tastings on a regular basis, and it allows people to come over and just taste the product for free. And during the coffee tasting, he made me a mocha. And the mocha was, for me, again, not a coffee drinker at that time, I did not finish the mocha. But he did do something very smart. The company says just give the product away, give away free samples, and allow people to try it, allow their body to notice the difference between acidic coffee and regular coffee versus our coffee. He sent me home with that box of latte, which was very smart, because my aunt was a coffee drinker. She found it, she finished the whole box, and she had an increase of energy. And for her, she had a loss of weight, turning 50 years old. That was huge. So she was excited. And that's really how it all started.
And so I use these teas just as good quality gourmet teas, that I use them for breakfast, lunch, or dinner as I choose to use them.
Yes, and then also another thing that is awesome about it is the price. Basically, if you go to Starbucks or any other of these chain cafes, you're paying $3 to $5 for a cup of gourmet coffee.
Right, you are, yes.
Basically, you're looking at anywhere from, it can start at 57 cents all the way to $2 for a cup of Organo Gold gourmet coffee. That's, again, infused with a healthy herb that's going to, in my case, it's healing my body as I drink it.
And by the way, you lost 125 pounds.
Over 125 pounds, and I'm maintaining. And as you can see, I consider myself to be pretty healthy.
Yeah, you look nice and trim now. So you dropped 125 pounds because you suddenly hit a point in your life you thought, okay, I've had it with that. I've had it, and I've just got to do something better now.
Yeah, I just got tired of looking in the mirror and crying and isolating and everything.
Yeah, crying is a lot about crying. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not making a joke. Yeah, there was
no,
crying.
No, it was. I was crying. It was miserable.
And what did you do for yourself besides using the tea? I mean, what else did you do?
I changed my portion control. I quit eating Jack in the Box burgers and McDonald's burgers.
Not
and
to
everything.
cast aspersions there, but you decided that wasn't.
But you know what I mean. I mean, I just quit eating the junk. Yeah, I eat fresher food. I eat more. I'm more conscious of what goes in my temple. You know, I'm trying to be all I can be without joining the army.
Good for you. Good for you. That's a good line.
That's my motto. You know, that's what I'm trying to live by.
And the 125 that you dropped. So can I ask, what was your high number? What did you weigh at one point?
Over 270.
And you lost the 125. How long did it take you to lose that?
Approximately a little over between a year and a half to lose it. And then I was just like mush. You know, I had no muscle tone or nothing. I was just, you know. Right. So now I'm on this road to just
working out. Yeah.
Working out.
You look nice and toned now.
Yeah, you know, that's where I'm at now. And I'm working with Chris Cormier, you know, and he's training me to
Is he a well-known trainer locally here?
Yeah, Chris Cormier is a well-known trainer, bodybuilder. For years he was like the man of bodybuilding. So to have him as my trainer is like, awesome.
Well, that's good.
And now, to be part of, and I use Mary Kay skincare products. I drink a healthy Organo Gold. I try to eat right.
And the payback is you feel good, you look good.
Yeah, and I help people. I've had people that have seen me go along this journey, and so I'm trying to pass on and inspire women. I see, like the other day when I was doing my taste testing, there was this woman, and she thought I wanted to sell her something and all I want to do is give her my number and other people that are out there, that are trying to call me if you feel you want to just talk, and call me and I'll help you through that craving or
It's nice
whatever.
to help people. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Now on the green tea, let's say I buy a box of green tea. How much? What's their list on the green tea? Can I ask you that?
So the green tea goes anywhere from about $30 to $40. The great thing about it is you're able to put your own price tag on it because we're independent distributors. But then you also have an option of becoming a preferred customer, and you can get the green tea as low as $22. Now here's the thing: there's 25 sachets in that green tea box, and each sachet makes up to 3 cups. So you're getting about 75 cups of very good green tea. And one thing I can say about our green tea is, and I have to say this, I was not a green tea fan because most people who know green tea know that green tea is very bitter. And our green tea we call liquid gold because it has no bitter aftertaste. It's very smooth, and you're getting 3 good cups from each tea sachet. So you're getting 75 cups of green tea. On the retail side, up to $40. On the wholesale side, as a preferred customer, $22.
Well, that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds good. And so this company, Organo Gold, is out of Washington State, you said.
Yes.
And how long have they been around?
Organo Gold has been around. It'll be 5 years this September. And again, what they've done is they've just used a product that's used on a daily basis, and they've given an opportunity for people to go out and build a business around this product. But again, we're a health and wellness company. We're just using the vehicle of coffee because it's much easier. But then the company also designed this system so that you're able to get a residual income from it. So just the same as, not to put the names out there, but Maxwell House and Folgers, great coffee companies. But if you take a look at coffee companies, none of them have ever gone out of business. So this is giving an opportunity for each person to actually build something for future legacy.
Yeah, people love to drink coffee.
Absolutely. They don't stop.
Yeah. Yeah, I think coffee is considered the world's most popular modest drug because it does spike your blood sugar. No, coffee spikes your blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Could you want to give out some phone numbers so we can contact you?
Absolutely.
Or websites? Yeah.
Yeah, they can actually. I'm here to support Miss Lorena, and so they can contact her directly. Her website is.
It's lorenataylor.organogold.com.
Spell that out for them.
LORENNATAYLOR.organo ORGANOGOLD.com.
All righty.
And your phone number?
And my phone number is 310-985-0473.
And I would encourage people to actually reach out to her. We send out free coffee.
Yeah.
That's part of our method is we give it away. We give it away, and we know that coffee drinkers, you don't have to hard close a coffee drinker. They're going to buy coffee. And so request a free sample. Call Lorena and definitely request a free sample of whatever your favorite coffee or tea or hot chocolate, and we'll send out the samples to you, and then you can get in contact with Lorena and keep that communication open. You never know. You might become a customer.
And I will be, again, doing the bodybuilding show Labor Day.
Okay, there's another one Labor Day down at Muscle Beach.
Yep, Joe's putting on another one, bodybuilding show Labor Day at Muscle Beach, and we'll be out there, and we'll be doing the iced mochas and lattes and the iced coffee again. That was a big success because this is awesome iced.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it makes an awesome iced beverage.
And what was the name of that trainer you work out with?
Chris Cormier.
And what kind of exercise do you do? Can I ask?
We do strength training. We do a lot of. Well, just depend. What do you mean?
Well, do you go, for example, do you go to Gold's Gym and work out 3 times a week, or what's your regime?
I'd work out 4 times a week.
And Chris helps you much of the time, or he gives you a set of exercises to do, and you just you do them on your own.
No, I'm one-on-one with him. We do one-on-one training 4 times a week. Yep, and we just work out a different, like we do backs one day, or we do legs, because I was a mess.
And as a young kid, when you were in high school, for example, Were you involved with sports and then you lost it, or you never interested at all in that?
No,
sport?
I was unfortunately, I was into drugs and everything.
Okay, that was then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it seem like fun at the time? Is that it?
Well, I have 6 years clean and sober.
Awesome.
Well, that's very good.
Yep.
That's very good. And so the exercise now, you realize it just makes sense to you now. You just kind of, it just seems like fun, doesn't it?
It's awesome. It is so wonderful to get a set in and to feel that I've accomplished it and my body is now going to be just successful and more, instead of just wasting away into nothing. You know, and I quit smoking. Oh, since I've been drinking the coffee, I've quit. I've got five today makes 6 weeks.
Oh, good for you.
I've quit smoking.
I think the first 10 days are the most difficult. After that, and then once again, smoking is, people smoke for two reasons. One is social, something to do with your hands at a party. But the other is tobacco spikes your blood sugar, gives you a temporary lift from fatigue. People smoke, they feel better. That's why they smoke like every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I find it's tough to quit smoking, but when you do decide to quit, if you exercise, which is great for your blood sugar, and also eat protein at least 3 times a day, that is breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and in many cases, breakfast, lunch, a snack, and dinner every 3.5 hours, helps keep your blood sugar stable, helps minimize the craving for tobacco. Do you work out with, what kind of weights do you work out with?
I work
very
out,
little light weights just for tone?
I work out with that's good. That's a good question that a lot of people get confused about. And they want to go in the gym and they want to
Right.
That's not how you do it. Especially
you,
women.
Right.
Women should do a medium to a light weight. If anything, a lighter weight and a high rep.
What's a light weight for you? No, tell me. Go ahead.
A light weight is, it depends on the exercise, but 50 pounds.
50 pounds does not seem like a lightweight to me.
40 pounds.
No, I thought we were looking for tone here. So I was thinking a little. For example, don't sometimes you use like little 2.5 pound dumbbells if you're doing kind of for the punching bag or something?
Well, 10, 50, 10, 20.
And what do you do exactly? You don't do squats. What do you
I
do?
do squats.
You do squats.
I just did squats yesterday.
Well, you're a very good size. You're 6 foot tall, so you're really bigger than the average woman, are you not? You're at 6 foot tall.
I've been called an Amazon several times in life.
Which that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
No.
Really.
I take it now as a good thing, but whenever I was 270 something pounds, I didn't like being called an Amazon.
Right. No, you didn't.
But now, I like it.
Is there any exercise that kind of caught you by surprise that you think, oh my God, I actually like this? Is actually fun. What is it?
You know what? Doing squats yesterday, I could breathe now that I don't smoke anymore, and I liked it.
Right.
It's so funny you brought up squats, and now you asked a favorite exercise.
Right.
It would be, and squats works your whole body, but the key again is you see people doing squats with all this tons of weight. When I squatted yesterday, all I did was 50 plus what's the bar, 45. So like 100 pounds. That's all I squatted yesterday.
That seems like a very decent amount of weight. I mean, that's not a joke. That's a very good amount of weight.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
All right. Well, I had Franco Colombo on this show, and Franco said that, I'm sorry, I had Franco twice on the show, but Robbie Robertson was here. And
Awesome,
Robbie's 67. And Robbie was here a month or so ago, and he said that he's stronger now than he was a young man in his 20s, and he was doing something, I forget the name of the exercise, with 500 pounds. And I thought to myself,
wow,
that's a lot of weight. I mean, that's 500 pounds. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. But I guess he enjoys it. Now, if someone had told you a year or two ago that you would be doing these exercises and it was fun, you actually liked it, and you might have thought, you wouldn't have believed them, right? Something you have to experience. You got to kind of really, you can't just intellectualize it. You have to really kind of do it, and then you think, oh my God, that is kind of fun. I do like it.
If somebody would have told me that I would have been doing it, I wouldn't have believed them.
Right.
I've always known that it would have been fun. Years ago when I was a kid, I was introduced to it, but drugs and alcohol took over my life. And but I knew it was going to be fun, but I just never knew that I had it in me to do it.
Right.
So now to find that in me to actually do it has been amazing. It's been part of the amazing part of the journey.
That sounds good.
That's to find that, to
so, for example,
that fire.
How do I use your tea and coffee?
Yeah.
You have like a couple of eggs for breakfast, and then you have tea or something. Is that it? What's your breakfast? What did you have for breakfast today?
For breakfast today, I had some ground turkey and rice with eggs.
Oh, so you're doing protein and a little complex carb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is how to keep yourself strong and focused.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do a little tea or something.
I have coffee.
Coffee. Like the coffee.
Black coffee. And I used to and another great thing about this coffee. And this is another thing with the show. Whenever I was doing the iced beverages, I had several bodybuilders come over and they wanted the sativa, and the sugars and that. I said, you don't need sugar. And they looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, try it. And I had 4. I said, try it. And all 4 of them, oh my gosh, you're right.
Right. And people need to try stuff. Yeah, they do.
And I am a person, my testimony here, my private testimony, I am a person who used to put at least 12 sugars in I was a sugar in my, I had a little bit of coffee with my sugar.
12 sugars is a good amount of sugar, right?
In a Starbucks venti.
Right, gotcha.
With the raw sugar. I thought I was doing, I have raw sugar. No. This coffee here, I don't even put sugar in.
That's how amazing
I don't even put sugar in it.
Do you find, since you work out and you go to Gold's Gym, do you find that the bodybuilding crowd, which is I guess is your crowd, because that they are surprisingly into wellness, that they're a wellness crowd? Is that how you would characterize them?
They cheat more than you think.
Well, I'm asking you. I was told they cheat. Robbie Robinson told me that, by the way, and he's certainly definitive. But they enjoy working out.
Yes.
But they also like to do other stuff too. Is that what you're saying to me?
They cheat.
Giving that away, okay?
But they do cheat. But then they work out. When it comes showtime, now there's no cheating.
Right.
They weigh their food and it's very precise to a degree. And like Chris can tell me if I've had dairy. He can tell me when I've had dairy.
Why he sees you congested?
He can see it on my body. He can tell it and he can tell when I'm not eating right. The pros know.
They do know, yeah.
Oh, they know. They can see it on your body.
They know their craft. Yeah,
Yep.
it's definitely a craft. Yeah, I'm not a bodybuilder myself, but having chatted with many bodybuilders over the years, they really have a little art form going as far as getting vascularity. I mean, they really have a procedure and they can get a result. And I admire them for that because they have their own sense of what they want the body to look like. They have an aesthetic judgment that they have, and they can achieve that aesthetic judgment. And I find that fun. And I find something I didn't know as a young man. Bodybuilders are wellness guys. They're wellness. They're wellness people. They're not the same as the vegan, but they ultimately are the same as the vegan who has a certain perspective. And the bodybuilders, they're all wellness people, but everyone has their own aesthetic judgment. And that, as a young man in my teens and 20s, I didn't realize. I only really realize it now. And when I go see the bodybuilders, because that's why I met you, and I think to myself, it seems very much fun and very relaxed. It's the whole show is very relaxed, and I like the fact that people work out. I guess the younger men take it more seriously than the older men, but the young men, they're doing striking these poses, and the women, it's all very amusing, and it certainly is wellness, because you cannot have a beautiful, lovely, slim body, male or female, if you're eating Burger King.
Oh, no.
You just can't. It's just not going to be happening.
Nope.
No, it's not.
Because it shows up. Like I said, if I can eat a thing of yogurt or have like a cereal, and it shows up on my body. Yeah,
that's the nice thing when you use food as a healing tool. You realize, oh my God, everything you eat, it really has an effect on the body. And if someone told you that 4 or 5 years ago, you would have said, oh, go take a hike. But now you realize, oh my God, no, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's impressive. It's impressive.
But the good thing about this is like the black coffee has no carbs. It has 5 calories. That's it. And I'm not adding no sugar to it, and
Right.
So it's hell. And bodybuilders can have that. It doesn't affect their diet, so they can have that showtime where other coffees, they can't have a Starbucks coffee because it has all the acid and everything in it.
Yes.
They can't have all that, so that's why my people who are drinking it are loving it. It doesn't leave you full like other coffees can leave you full and bloated.
Sure. And once again, how do we contact you?
Oh, Lorena Taylor. It's 2 N's, LORENNA Taylor, TAYLOR.organogold.com, 310-985-0473. And then I'm also at Gold's Gym in Venice.
4 days a week? You told
4
me?
days a week.
Okay.
Well, if I'm there 5 days a week, but I'm there 4 days a week training
Gotcha.
with Chris Cormier.
Very good.
And Urban Fitness.
Oh yeah. LA Urban Fitness.
That's a very nice supplement store, isn't it?
Supplement
Yes,
store.
yes,
Yes,
I know them. Very
we're
nice
there.
guys.
I did.
Reggie, I think, is the manager of one of those stores. Reggie's very nice. I know
Reggie's
Reggie.
there. Yeah. We're in there. You can get our product there. Yes. You
They
can
just
get it.
picked up the product.
Oh, it's very good.
Yeah.
Very good. They're very, very nice shops.
Yep. And we're doing a taste testing there. Is it this weekend? I think we're going to be back there this weekend.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
Very
And
good.
it'll be in the cafe soon that they're opening. The
Yep.
juice bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it could be a very nice shop. Well, listen, thank you for being on. I appreciate it. It was fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You've been listening to this segment of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live television network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Hi, I'm Jerry Bell of the Daz Band in New Birth. And I'm Brahima Arsalan, inviting you to join us every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time for Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics, baby. Join us as we play some of the greatest hits of soul and R&B and listen in to interesting discussions with the legends of the music. So don't you forget, join us on the Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics. You'll love it. Exclusively on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher.
Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com, baby.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure.
This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk, baby. We're music.
Hi, this is Starlet Quarles, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for a new show right here on LA Talk Live, The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hello, this is Angela DeJoseph. Join me Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific for the Angela DeJoseph Show. Join me as we venture into health, wealth. We're going to give you news, interviews, and entertainment. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, Live 365, Radio Flag, TiVo Radio, and now live on Facebook. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Romy Klinger.
This is Rose Garcia.
And we are inviting you to join us for the Romy and Rose Show every Friday at 4 p.m. Tune in for the Romy and Rose Show. We're going to be talking about pop culture, dating, business 101, what's ratchet, what's not ratchet, and music and so much more. So don't forget, tune in to the Romy and Rose Show. About to get real.
Exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality show handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
We're real talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live television network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. And my guest is Angela Joseph. Angela has her own show on LA Talk Live.
Yes.
And Angela, hello, Angela.
Hi.
Hello. Angela has many years of experience in media and in wellness subjects. And weren't you on Regis Philbin's show many times? You were
Yes,
you
I
were
was a
series
regular on Regis' show, Regis and Kathy. And I also was the on-air fashion and beauty reporter for AM Los Angeles, which was Steve Edwards, and it was Tawny Little and Christina Ferrari at one point. So, yes, I'm your all-round fashion. I was a fashion and beauty person. And,
Is that what you did on Regis' show?
Yes, I was a fashion and beauty reporter. And but I always longed to do other types of segments. And I wanted to do things that would going to be more substantive and have a long-term benefit to people. And my oldest brother is a medical doctor, and my family's from Trinidad. And so in Trinidad, people go to the plants when you're sick. You know, they make a tea for you when your stomach aches. When you have a fever, they get the bush and they boil it for you.
Right.
Yeah, so I came from a culture that was used to using natural remedies. And so I was always interested in health and healing. And so what I've done now is I've brought the two things together, and I've developed a line of green cosmetics that are good for you, but still get the job done because we still have to, to work on the issues that we have.
Sure. And so green cosmetics have better ingredients. Is that it?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a process because in manufacturing cosmetics, a lot of people think that are in the health food world that you can just take olive oil and put it on your hair, for example, or just break an egg open and put it on your hair. But it doesn't really work that way because when it comes down to changing the structure, for example, of your hair has to be able to absorb it. And in order to strengthen the hair, for example, if your hair is damaged, if you want to strengthen it, and you want to add protein, you can't just break an egg and put it on your hair because the molecule is too large. The molecule has to be broken down, which is hydrolyzing the protein and breaking it down so the hair can actually absorb it.
Uh-huh.
So it takes a process to develop things that'll be able to sustain on the shelf, but still not be harmful to our environment and harmful to the body.
And so when you, right out of college, you worked for a big, important beauty house, didn't you?
I work for Johnson Products Company. But on my way to Chicago and Johnson Products Company, I moved to New York City and I worked for Essence Magazine, and I was the associate beauty editor at Essence Magazine. And I have to tell you, as a young person, getting to live in New York City and working at a magazine is the ideal job.
I completely agree with you. It's a fantastic.
It is a fantastic. And the thing is, you know how they say youth is wasted on the young because you don't even know how good you have it.
That's true too. Yes, it's another cliche. That's true. Yes, absolutely true.
Yes.
But but when that was occurring, were you involved with wellness ideas, or that really came later?
At that point, it was really covering trends and beauty trends and beauty products. So, I wrote columns on beauty products, the newest products that came out. I also went to fashion events and covered those for the magazine.
And then over a period of time, you came to realize there were wellness ideas that weren't being incorporated. Some of these, I'll use the word mainstream, not in a bad way, but mainstream cosmetics.
It was aging.
And aging.
It was aging that had me start to think about it more.
Aging is a lesson. I've observed that myself. It certainly is a lesson. It certainly is.
Yes.
And what did you decide to come out with that you thought, okay, this is needed now? These are some fresh ideas.
Well, I started working on a line of products based on original formulas. My mother was from Trinidad. My mother actually was in the beauty business in Trinidad. She had her own beauty school. She had a salon, and she used to make hair products from the plants. So growing up, I'd always heard the stories about this helps your hair grow and this, keeps your hair from breaking.
Right.
And so, but it was, even though they were from natural ingredients, there's a scientific basis for it.
Right.
For example, when you have your circulation slows down and the blood flow is not going to the top of the head, men start to lose their hair. And you see a lot of that male pattern baldness, and you even see, women developing thinning hair as they age. But what my mother did was she did scalp treatments where she massaged the scalp. And what I did was I went and I worked with a cosmetic chemist, and I came up with ingredients to put into formulas that did the same thing. So in fact, when you use the shampoo or the conditioner, they have a stimulating property. And consequently, people use the products and then they write me and they say, wait a minute, my hair started growing back. And so people are always surprised.
That's very nice.
Yes.
Right.
And so I have a lot of men who bought the products. They start buying it by the case because it wasn't a chemical, something that you had to put a chemical in your body, but it was a natural ingredient that caused the stimulation to the scalp. So it's a scientific reason why bringing the circulation where the blood flow is going back to those follicles, feeding them, therefore the hair growth begins again.
Well, that seems like a very good idea. Frank, I certainly am happy with that one. So what are the ingredients you want to tell us?
It's a secret.
Oh, I see. Oh, it's completely a secret, really?
No, no, it's not completely secret. They're all listed on the package. But for example, I'll give you one is Balm Mint. And so
I do not know Balm Mint.
Mint, but think about mint.
Is that from the
mint has
Caribbean?
It's a stimulating property to mint. Think about the mint leaf.
Yes.
And it's a certain thing about mint that sort of perks you up, and it does the same thing when you apply it to the skin. So it sort of has a little bit of a stimulating property to it. And so when you put it on the scalp, it's cooling and it's stimulating, and it's like, ooh, it's like going to the spa. But the end result is that it's bringing the blood flow to those follicles that sometimes they're dormant. Now, if the follicles are dead, you can't do anything.
Right.
But when they're dying and you're losing your hair, when you bring back that blood flow, you revitalize that area and it starts to grow again. Now, a lot of women who have curly hair, and that spans different ethnic groups. I got a lot of mail from people who are all different ethnicities who said, I use your products and they work on me. And so people look at me and they think, well, I have to look like you for your products to work. But the truth is that no, if you have similar hair to me, the products work because I designed the product specifically for people who had curlier hair, because when the hair grows out from the scalp, when it's straight hair, it lays down, and then the oil runs down, and then people have oily hair. People who have curlier hair, it grows up and away from the scalp, and it doesn't get the natural oils, and it tends to dry out and get dry and brittle and break off. And so that's why you have curly haired people using 5 times more hair products than anyone else, because they're always fighting and tugging and trying to change their hair. And so I developed products that, one, put the moisture back in the hair, so then the hair is now moisturized and easier to control. And then I started working on a product that would help you to be able to manage it if you wanted to change the curl. If you do want to wear your hair straight, for example, we want variety in our hairstyling, that you'd be able to do that without the harsh chemicals. Because people had been using sodium hydroxide, for example, a very, very harsh chemical, and they're putting it.
Are they still using that?
Yes.
Mhm.
And you go to the store, and even if you buy a kitty perm, it has a little child on the box. It's the same ingredient, sodium hydroxide,
Right.
which will, take the rust off your pipes.
Right.
So what we did was we thought about the
So
things
not to make a joke, so in other words, you're saying that these hair curling products, it's not that they don't work. You're not saying they don't work, but that indeed the skin is porous, you absorb stuff. It's a bad idea. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and on top of that, if you think about the way that they actually work is that they break the bonds in the hair.
Oh, I see. I did not know that.
Yeah, so the hair is curly.
Yeah.
You put this harsh chemical, which is lye, on the hair.
Lye.
It
Oh,
is lye.
That can't be good.
It is. So whether it's even the products that are on the market that are marketed as no lye, it's only a technicality. No lye, calcium hydroxide, but it's still harsh on the hair. So what it does is to the hair, it breaks the bonds inside of the hair, and then it renders it straight. Like if you took some curly pasta, and then you cooked it too long, and then it got limp.
Right.
That's what happens to the hair.
I see. Yes.
And so it destroys the bonds in the hair.
Okay.
And then they put an acidic product on the hair that hardens it back. So now your hair is straight, but it's hard. And what happens, it no longer has the give in it, so it's brittle and it breaks. So what we did, this took many, many years of working with products, because a lot of conditioners soften the hair, make your hair easy to manage. So I thought, what if we took this a step further and find a way to condition the hair but also loosen and soften the curl. And so we found that if you use something that's a slightly alkaline base, which is like alkaline water, and you take alkaline water and you use some alkaline minerals in that water and you put it on the hair, what happens? Voila, it loosens the curl. But it doesn't break the bonds in the hair. So the hair it's not shapeless and have no life to it. But you can wear your hair straight, you can wear it curly, you can wear it wavy, you can change it. And it works on all ethnicities. So so the line is called Green Wonders, and it's greenwonders.com is the website, and it's a line for people who have curly hair of all ethnicities. It's a multicultural line, finally, for women with curly hair.
Well, that all sounds very good. So the mint was in the first one, the natural.
The balm mint. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what is the second one here?
This is the natural laxer. And it's like a hair relaxer, but it's used we use natural ingredients. We use shea butter. We use the thing that works in it is the alkaline water, because if you on the pH meter, you've got alkaline and you have acidic, and all the way on the end of the alkaline is sodium hydroxide, which is what's breaking the bonds in the hair. All the way on the other side, you have battery acid, and you have curly perms to make your hair curly. So one side makes your hair straight, the other makes your hair. Both are bad extremes.
Right.
What we did was we found a way to come closer to the middle, closer to the center, which would be water, but slightly alkaline. So it slightly loosens out the curl, but still leaves your hair intact.
Okay, that sounds like a good system, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It works. And we've got thousands of people that have used the products, but it's a process. So we develop a whole line of products because, like I said, people want different things. For example, people say, well, I want my hair to, for example, if you use color in your hair and you want your hair to be restored. Well, if you just took olive oil and you put it on your hair, you think, oh, I'm doing something natural. But what happens when you put olive oil on your hair is then you smell like a salad.
You do.
And
of course, olive oil is healing, so it's not really necessarily a bad thing, really.
No, it's not bad.
Thing,
but what I'm saying is that it's not going to repair.
Right.
It's not going to repair your hair. What it will do is it's going to give you a soft feeling. It's going to be shiny. But I'm saying it's a temporary situation. Right. Whereas if you use a broken down protein, even if it's a wheat protein, that's small enough for the hair to absorb it. So we have products that actually your hair absorbs, and then it strengthens your hair back. And then we also have oils that we found. Olive oil is heavy for hair because the natural weight of sebum is much lighter. So, for example, jojoba oil is closer to the natural sebum. So it's not going to clog up your head. So you see a lot of people who put excessive heavy hair grease and oils on the hair and end up losing their hair after a time because it's actually clogging up and it's suffocating the scalp. Oh. Whereas we have very light oils closer to the natural sebum on the scalp, and that allows your scalp to still be able to breathe. It does give your hair a little bit of shine. It does make your hair feel better, but it's not harmful to the scalp.
Well, that all sounds very good. What about colleagues from the past who work with you at some of the magazines, etc.? Mm-hmm. Are they kind of on board now with this new thinking about cosmetics?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there's a whole movement of people that want disclosure from the cosmetic companies. Because there are something like 82,000 ingredients that are chemicals that are
allowed.
That are in because you have to understand that it's not being moderated. There's nobody that's the watchdog watching cosmetics from the government. So that's why they've gotten away for so long by having so many harmful ingredients that are bad and are cancer causing and affect the life of unborn and so on. Right. So there are groups now that do have listings of cosmetic ingredients on their websites that you can go and you can check and see.
And you avoid all that.
We avoid that.
And since you've been in the beauty profession really for a long time now, do you think the profession is really moving in that direction in general because the consumer base is also moving in that direction? I mean, who's driving this?
I'll be honest with you. I don't think the consumers are moving as fast as the industry.
Oh.
Because you had a movement towards green cosmetics that's been going on for the last decade. But consumers want products that are effective and work. So they're looking for to have something change and happen. And that's why I'm saying that it's a process in developing these products because we have to find products that yes, we do something that's natural, but we also have to find something that's going to deliver, and
Right,
that's what
right, right,
what the consumer wants.
Because I know the product, the brand called Aubrey, which they've been sold in natural food stores. They were the first company not to test on animals in the United States in the 60s. There was one company in Britain that did that first in the 50s, and they were the first company, I think, in 1968 to list the ingredients, because before that was not required to list ingredients. And they also went organic in 1994. They were the first company to use organic ingredients. So there has been a big movement towards better stuff. Because I think there's a market, not everywhere, but there is a market for better in cosmetics that work.
That work.
That work.
That's the key.
That work.
But you have a group of people that are an informed consumer that's going to want to know what's in her cosmetics and is going to go to the health food store and look for Aubrey and going to look for special things. And then you have people that are just going to the store looking for something to fix my hair because I need to do my hair today. So the responsibility is I feel as a manufacturer, for me to keep improving the products and finding better ingredients and finding the solutions. So that's what I try to do. And then sort of meet in the middle where I can educate the customer to why it's important. Because I have people that they'll order, for example, it's a natural hair relaxer. Well, it's not going to work the way sodium hydroxide works. It's not going to break the bonds in your hair. It's not going to make your hair bone straight. So I have to educate the customer and say, you know what, it's not going to give you that bone straight hair. What it will do is it will soften your hair and make it easier to manage and take care of. And then you can get a straight look by blow drying it, by doing this, wrapping the hair. Give her styling options.
Okay. Is your mom, what other herbs did your mom teach you about using that are good for skin, hair, nails?
Well, one of them was
it's
a plant it's called the rachet.
What's it?
Rachet.
Oh my goodness, never heard of that one.
See?
And that really grows in the Caribbean as well?
It is, but I'm going to tell you, it's a cousin to the cactus plant.
Okay.
So, but if you think about a cactus in the middle of the desert holding water inside, and this plant holds water inside, and the same thing with when you put it in, use it in hair products. What it does is it's like a humectant, which it takes the moisture from the air, holds it inside of the hair, and that's what makes your hair soft and subtle is the moisture content of the hair. When your hair becomes dry and brittle, it's because it doesn't have enough moisture content.
Okay, what other?
So that's one. I'm only giving you one.
Oh, just one really of your mom?
Just one.
Does you consult with your mom on some of these products?
Well, I did. My mom has gone off to heaven.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Okay.
But no, she's still involved and she's still motivating, and she's the one that blessed me with the information. I have to tell you a funny story. When I wanted to be a writer, and I wrote a letter to Essence Magazine, and I told them I wanted to write for them. And I wrote an article and sent them this article, and I didn't hear anything back. And somebody says, no, just wait. And sure enough, they contacted me, and the editor-in-chief, a woman named Marshann Gillespie, was going to be in Los Angeles. They were based in New York. And I was going for an interview. And I brought my mom.
Are you about 20 at this point?
I am. Okay. And I brought my mom. And now I think about it. I thought, I brought my mom on a job interview. But at the time it was great. My mom was there, and they gave me an assignment, and I wrote an 8-page pull-out guide for the magazine, and it was called Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Your Hair. And it was 8 pages in the center of the magazine.
That's a nice coup for a first-time writer.
My
isn't
very
it?
first published
Good
article.
For you.
They hired me. They relocated. They moved me to New York City, and I became associate beauty editor of the magazine.
What years was this?
You trying to find out my age?
Not so much really.
Yeah, you're pacing.
I just
now
wanted to-
20. How long ago was that? I know these tricks. I know these tricks.
What fashion models that you may have bumped into who
just
you work
know that I am in my prime.
Yes. Okay. No. This is a television show. Everyone can see that you're in your
my
prime. Everyone can tell you're in your prime.
30 something.
We can tell you're in your prime. Okay. So, are you vegetarian?
I have been a vegetarian. I have been a raw foodist. And John Sally was on the show and gave me chewing out for not being a vegan right now. So I'm working my way back. feel my best when I eat a raw food diet. So my goal really is to be about 70% raw.
Are you eating fish and chicken?
I
now
don't
and
eat
then?
fish. I don't eat chicken, but I do eat fish.
Right.
I do eat fish occasionally. Yes,
That's
I
okay.
do.
Mr. Sally is lovely, but I myself am in the post-vegetarian phase of my life.
Yes.
I was vegetarian for a very long time, in the 60s and 70s, et cetera, 80s, 90s. But really, I don't choose to be vegetarian any longer. And let me just say this too, even though people approach it, some approach it for philosophical reasons, that's certainly a great reason.
Right.
But I think that the vegetarian diet is lacking in B12. It's lacking in carnitine, and it's lacking in choline. So to be vegetarian, okay, that's good. You're eating salad, you're eating lentils, you're eating tofu, you're eating tempeh, beans and peas, nuts and seeds. That's all great. My question is that enough to be healthy?
Well, I don't know. He looks pretty great to me. So, I think that everybody has to sort of find that place where they feel they're best. And medically, if you're healthy, and I can tell you that I know that I feel my best when I have more raw food, living foods in my diet. I absolutely do. There isn't ever a time when I feel that I'm lacking. And if I incorporate meat products in it, then I start to feel worse. So that's my own barometer. And I know from a health perspective that, the doctors are amazed that I am biologically younger than I am chronologically.
Oh no, when you take care of yourself, you are younger because you're taking care of yourself. Not to make too much of a joke of this, but do you ever go to Airwana in Beverly? It's a very nice shop.
Yes.
I go there, I get a kick out of it.
I spend too much money.
A lot of young hipsters shopping there. It's a fun, very, very much of a fun store, quite frankly. And sometimes I'll be hanging around the raw food section, and I see these young vegan girls,
Yes.
little willows, shopping, looking at sesame, tahini, and
Yes.
nori, etc. And they're moving so slowly, and I'm thinking to myself, these young girls have low blood sugar. These girls have low blood sugar. They're eating quality food, but not enough protein. That's why they feel so wasted and irritable and unhappy and depressed.
Wow.
Well, what's going to do? No, it's blood sugar. They're not stabilizing their blood sugar. And I say that as a guy who's vegetarian for a long time, and now I don't wish to be vegetarian. And so therefore, I have friends who are vegetarian, and that's great. And I challenge them in a very pleasant way. And, I think everyone has their own sense of what wellness is.
Yes.
And I think one reason I ask you about eating fish, et cetera, is because I think when we eat some animal protein foods, and humans have always lived on the coast where the climate's more moderate, we've always been fish eaters. We eat fish. Humans eat fish. We've always eaten fish historically. That I think it's better, it reflects in your skin, hair, and nails. That I think if you're a vegan or something, it has the foods that have merit eating carefully, but the question I always have, this is a fair question, is it enough? Is that enough, the tofu, the tempeh, the sunflower seeds, the almonds, the raw foods, the salad greens?
I
Is it enough?
I see people that look wonderful. Did you read Eating for Beauty, David Wolf's book? Eating for Beauty. It just, like I said, everyone is a little bit different in what their actual needs are, and I can feel the difference in one of the issues that I had is that I don't add salt to my food.
Oh,
and,
salt's
and now
salt's a problem.
And what I discovered
puffy.
though, right, but on top of what I noticed, having been a personal trainer, is that my electrolytes were out of balance
From too much salt.
from not having salt, from not putting salt in my food. And so now I make sure that I add in. I have something that not table salt, but I do add in things that balance my electrolytes.
Like a Celtic
and
sea salt.
I'm able, yes, and I'm able. I have kelp and I have dulse, but
they're
I'm able to think better.
Right.
So before people venture off, I think into extreme diets, they need to think about the balance and how you need to achieve
Well, you
it.
have to learn that.
Yes.
You're not born knowing that.
No.
So when you didn't use salt, like sea vegetables, you felt what? What was wrong with you?
It's like a spacey. You can't quite grasp your.
Oh yeah.
You sort of,
Yeah, no, I know that
you
feeling.
know that
yeah,
feeling.
yeah,
You sort
yeah.
of.
If
And
you eat too much fruit, you get that feeling. Really.
it's yes. So
And of course, my friends, the fermented fruitarians who drink alcohol, they get that feeling. Well, I made that joke up. Actually. Thank you. I like that joke.
You missed the vegan wine. It's called Vegan Vine the other night.
Yes, I saw him on your
Did you
show.
see it?
I did. I watched your show.
We had vegan wine. So becoming more educated as opposed to just going off. People that they go on fast all the time.
Right.
And I have to tell you honestly, the people I know that fast all the time are obese. because
Right.
they yo-yo back and forth. They're always on some extreme fast, and they're going to lose 30 pounds by next Thursday on this fast. And I tell them all the time, what you end up doing is you lower your metabolism when you do that. And you constantly are going back. And every time I see them, I see them, and they're extremely thin. I go, how did you do that? And they went on something. The next time I see them, they're big again and bigger and bigger. And it continually happens. The best way really to lose weight is to increase your cardio and lower your carbs. And the carbs I'm talking about are, for example, is sugar. And I belong to the Sugar Anonymous group.
Most of us do, really. Most of us do, really.
So I can speak from knowledge. But when you cut down on sugar,
Right.
and you up your cardio, you're burning more, and then your body is not using that false sugar for energy. It starts to use from the fat stores.
Right.
Those are the two things. That's it. It's that simple, really.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It is very simple after you know it. After you know it, it does seem simple.
And then if you can afford a personal trainer, then
Personal trainer is much fun too. Yeah, it's very much fun.
because I was a personal trainer for years, and basically I'm your workout buddy. So I'm your conscience. So I'm the person that makes you get up in the morning. I'm the person that makes you do it.
Gotcha.
That's what a lot of people need.
They do, and a good personal trainer can be very, very helpful. Very helpful.
And
Angela,
we're nice friends too.
that's good to do. Angela, how do we get in contact with you to find out more about these hair care products?
Greenwonders.com.
Just greenwonders.com.
Greenwonders.com is the website. 888-284-HAIR.
That was very easy. Well, Angie Joseph, thank you for being a guest today on my show. And you have your own show on LA Talk Live. And what day are you on?
I'm on Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. It's the Angela D. Joseph Show. We talk about what matters.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. Angela Joseph has been my guest. Angela has some great shows. You might catch her Rosie Greer show. It was really a very good one.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for tuning in. And we'll be back next week at the same time. Bye-bye.
For more information about the guests and sponsors of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, please call us at 818-707-0005.